Hanan basa chalala is linan. We need it not just to be in diameter, we need a hollow diameter. An oil. An oil means that there's empty space. With the ka'amrit, and this that you said, I have to add in these words here. Allah skufa kul tamei, that if it's on the doorway, it's tamei. I changed that. I changed the text based on the sheet of Mekabetsis. Mikeneged ashkeifel if nima bayis tamei, mikeneged ashkeifel achutza bayis tar. He argues with Rabbi. Rabbi said that if it's in the doorway, the house is tamei. Rabbi Yosi adds in which part of the doorway. There's a dividing part of the doorway, and that's the lintel. The lintel, where the door bangs against. Rabbi Meir holds the entire doorway is tamei, and Rabbi Yossi says no, not the entire door. So when Rabbi Yossi says mikeneged ashkeifel lefnim, it doesn't mean that the tumah is inside the body, and it depends just where it is. If it's inside, the tumah will travel up through it, and it doesn't matter if there's a tefach in the thing or not, because the tumah is just traveling out. Tumah tmuna is traveling. He says no, it's not tumah tmuna. We're talking about the tumah will travel out only if there's a halal of a tefach, and also only if it's within. If it travels within the mashkef, it has to be within the mashkef, not just the askufa. Askufa is the whole doorstep. It needs to be in the mashkef as well. Okay. Rav Acha Brei Rava Masan Lebehedi. Rav Acha Brei Rava teaches this outright. In the Mishnah, we said that Rabbi Yossi says Rayan. I added in the word Sasatuma. Rav Acha Brei Rava says that Rabbi Yossi Yomer Rayan es Chalal Tuma, that you have to see the hollow space of the Tuma. In other words, Rabbi Yossi is not talking about Tuma Tmuna. Rabbi Yossi is saying a kula, that you need to have Chalal Tuma. You need to have a hollow tent. The tent cannot be filled with all the body parts of that are in the neck. Okay, a new section here. Man Tana de Polagalar of the Polagalar, who argues that says that maga and oil are not the same thing. We've been discussing here that touching in an oil is the same thing. Who's the one that says that touching in an oil is not the same thing? The Gemara says it's Reb Shimon. It's Reb Shimon. The Tanya Reb Shimon taught. Reb Shimon Aimer. Shimon says, Shalish Tumas Parshas Menames. There's three things that separate from the body, from a corpse. And there's two types of tumah in each of them, but not the third one. Shtayim b'chalachas, u'shlisha seim b'hem. There's two types of tumah, but the third one isn't there. And now which one, A, B, and C, so this one has A and B, this one has B and C, and this one has A and C. So that's how it's going to work. So, ve'ilohein, these are the three things that have this division. Mali tarvid rekev, a ladle or a spoonful of dust of a corpse. We mentioned this before, that it was like in a cave and you have the dust. Ve'etzem kisa'ira, and you have a tiny bone the size of a barley, maybe like coming off the foot or something, those little bones there. So you have a tiny bone, that would also give off tumah. V'goyel v'daifek, and it's the two sides of a grave. You have the side. If you cover a grave with stone, if you make a grave, so you put something on the side and you put a piece on top. That's the goylel and the daifek. That's also tamei. How does this work? Mali tarvid rekev. If you have this ladle of dust, that's matame b'masa. That's only tummy if you lift it. And ba'ayil, and if it's in a tent. Ve'ina matame b'maga, but it's not tummy if you touch it. We mentioned this before. But we just said before that oil was considered maga, because someone said before it's mitame b'maga u'b'oil, and we said, how is it mitame b'maga? You can't touch the whole thing. We said no, maga is oil. That's what we said before. Here we're saying it's not mitame b'maga. The fact that it's metame ba'oil,
because it's not one piece.
because you can't touch the whole thing, right? V'heichan magai. So where do we have tumas maga? Oh, he says that's imachas mehem. That where do we have tumas maga? That's with the other ones, because over there you have etzem kasa'ira by a bone that's the size of a barley. That's metame b'masum b'maga. That's metame if someone touches it or lifts it. Ve'ena metame ba'oil, but it's not metame in a house. For that you'll need the whole aver. You need the basar in there. Where do you have the oil? Imachas mehem with one of them. Where's this tumas oil? So we say that's goyel v'doifik. That's metame b'maga. If someone touches the sides of the grave, it's really the sides of the coffin, because they didn't use coffins. So for us it would be considered just they would bury it like that with these stone pieces. Oh, and the stone over here, it has it was buried inside a cave. They would roll a large stone called a goylel. That's the word goylel, because it would get rolled. They would then place a triangle-shaped stone called a doifik under the goyel to keep it in place. Okay, that's not the way Rashi learned the doifik, but okay. In his commentary here, he has different explanations. Which part is the goyel, which part is the doifik? But that's at least language-wise, that's very good. Shekayach. So goyel and a doifik.
How did we get to this whole topic? Is this because we started with the skin, with the two pieces that weren't kezayas?
Yeah.
And so now we transfer.
We're starting off with the skin combined to make food. To be as part of the food, if someone touches the flesh, to be the right size to become tummy, and then we just end it. Yeah.
There's no Gemara's.
I'm hearing your question is, when does this end? You have another few days.
But there's no Gemara.
Another 3 days. There's no Gemara in Tarsa. This is it. When you learn the Mishnayos and Olas, they keep referencing the Gemara Chullin. So this is the. So the goyel and doifik is metame with touching and ba'oil. Ve'ena metame masa, but if you lift it, it's not tummy. In other words, if you lift it without touching it, it's in a bag or something, or you lift it with a stick. Ve'heichan masai. So where do you have the lifting? He says, that was with the other ones. Imachad mehem with the other ones. So each one of these three is missing one of these three types of tumah. The three types was touching, lifting, and oil, and the three things were the ladle full of the dust of a corpse, the tiny bone the size of a barley, and also the sides of the grave. Kulas nevela v'kulas asher tzchulu. We're on a new topic now. We mentioned the bone. We mentioned the Mishnah, the bone of the femur of a nevela. If there's a hole in it, and he touches it, then it becomes tummy. But if there's no hole in it,
because the marrow.
Because of the marrow, then he's not tummy. Tana Rabbanan is taught in the Bais bin Nevlasa. In its carcass, which is referring to the flesh. V'leik bekula stuma, but not a sealed femur, the bone, the thigh bone. Yachal afilu nikva, maybe it shouldn't give off tumma, even if it has a hole in it. Talmud Laimar hanageya yitma. It says no, one that touches it, he becomes tummy. That's an extra yud. That teaches us that. Could have said tame. It says yitma, he becomes tummy. Eshef shaliga tame. Something that you can touch, then you become tummy, even if you don't touch it. Even if you don't touch the flesh itself. Even if you touch the shomer, you become tummy. Veshiyef shaliga tar. But if you can't touch it, then if you touch the shomer, you're not tummy, because that's not considered a shomer if you can't touch it. You can't touch the actual thing itself. If that's so, that you have to be able to touch the actual flesh to become tummy. So what happens, Elamiyata, behema ba'ira leitatame, if you touch the skin of an animal, if an animal dies, you touch the skin, it should become tummy because there's no hole in the skin. Abaya responds, so interesting that Rabbi Seir is talking to Abaya, asking him like as if he's the teacher. Abaya responds, take a look how many holes there are in this. Which is referring to the eyes, the nose, the mouth. There are holes. You are able to touch the flesh. You don't have to only touch the outer skin. There's openings. Amalei Rav Papa Rava. Now here's the student, the teacher. Rav Papa says to Rava, Elamiyata, if that's so, that if you can't touch the actual flesh, then if you touch the outside, it's not tummy. Kula bechalba. If the kidney that's surrounded by the fat, like tame, shouldn't become tummy because it's totally surrounded by the fat, and you can't touch the kidney with the fat all over it. He says, "Tachazi kamachutin mshachim," and take a look through the fat. You see all these veins, pieces of flesh that are sticking through, pieces of meat that are sticking through. It's possible to touch it, even though there's fat surrounding it. But Rabbi has a question. Let's say a person thought to make a hole, but he didn't actually make the hole. Missing the hole, is that considered that it's not there? Or maybe the fact that he thought to make a hole, that sometimes in Tumah, the thought is already considered like it's already like that's good enough. So Hadar Pashter, Rabbi responded that Mechus Nekiva lav k'mechus ma'aseh dami, and if you think to make a hole, it's already like a hole, and if you touch this bone now, you'll become tummy just because you thought that you're going to drill this bone, and you would then be able to touch it.
No, you can think to do something good and get, or even if you don't do it yet, but it doesn't work the other way.
Right, that's by an Avera. It doesn't work by a Jew.
Well, if you're
Here,
thinking of doing something that's going to make you tummy, why isn't that the same?
No. Tumah isn't, it's not put here like an Avera. Here what you're doing is, the way it works with Tumah is, if you decide what I'm doing with this vessel, whether it's a broken vessel or whether it's a vessel that you haven't made yet, no, broken is a little different, but a vessel that you haven't made, you decide I'm going to use it as is. So your thought makes it like as if, okay, that's already done, even though you didn't. But if you decide, no, I'm going to finish this vessel, I'm not done with it, then it's not done. So your thoughts regarding Tumah are very effective.
What happens if there are two people that own a store and they have this vessel, and one thinks I'm going to put a hole in it to complete it, and the other one thinks I don't want to touch it, I want to leave it alone? Does it convey tumah to one and not the other?
What are you drinking? It's so good, man.
I don't know the answer.
It's so good. Give us some of that.
It can't be.
Could this be
I
like
don't think it could be, but I don't know the answer.
Good question.
what Herschel's asking? Could this also be like if two people own an animal and they bring it up for a korban and each one has a different type of korban in mind that it's going to be used for?
Yeah, that would be a problem. That would be a problem because it can only be one.
That's like a pico or one of those.
Yeah, that would be a problem. Yeah. Conflicting thoughts then. Okay, a new Mishnah. Beitas hasheretz hamrukemes tahira. However, nikva kolshu is tummy. This is referring to what's the eggs that from a lizard or a snake or these all of the shratzim that are tummy. So the egg of the sheretz is also tummy. The only thing is that if it's totally surrounded, then the tummy doesn't go out. But if there's a hole in the egg, then it's tummy. Now this is only if the egg started to form. It's only if it started to form.
Fertilized.
Right. It has a blood spot. Achbar. Dr. Stein, I don't know how to explain this one to you. Achbar shechetzev basar v'chetzev adama. If you have a mouse that's half flesh and half dirt, okay, so hanagea b'basar tamei. I should have looked in his notes because he would have gone through this.
It's dead.
Yeah, it's dead.
He's decomposing.
Right.
So half of it's decomposed.
Right. Yeah, that's how that.
He's looking for Harry Potter stuff.
No, the sages may have heard tell of such a creature, or may even have themselves observed the rodent, which superficially appeared to have characteristics described in this passage. Some commentaries understand that this creature was spontaneously generated from the earth.
Whoa.
Oh, you know what he's talking about? What's the thing that comes out once a year?
Groundhog.
Well, it's a groundhog. They came in and he also half
They
dog.
look at it once a year. They look at it once a year. It comes out more than once a year. This
So,
is on tape.
Hanagea bebasar, if you touch the flesh, there's two parts to this, right? They're thinking of like the way people thought maggots would get spontaneous. That would come out of the, like that scientist that wrote a description of how to create a rat.
Yeah.
I forget who it was. It was William Harvey, one of those big scientists. He said you take you take a barrel, you put grain in it, and you take an old shirt and you put it in there, and if you leave it for a certain amount of time, you come back, it'll have turned into a rat. So, okay. So if you touch that ba'adama, if you touch the ground, then tar. Then you're tar. If you touch the ground part. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Even if you touch the dirt part of this animal, you're also tummy. Tana Rabbanan.
This reminds me of the two scientists that were working with stem cells and regeneration and stuff. They came up to heaven, and when Hashem wouldn't let them in, they said, "What are you talking about? We can do anything you can do. You created man from. We can create man from dirt." Hashem says, "Okay, show me." So they go and they bend down and they, grab a wad of dirt, and they goes, "No." Hashem goes, "That's my earth."
Yeah, get your own dirt. Make your own dirt.
Okay, so here it says Hatmeim. We've used this before. The hay from Hatmeim is coming to teach us extra things. There's last week's parsha. The Rabbi Bais Hasheretz. It's coming to include the egg as well. The kulas Hasheretz, and also the bone of the sheretz. Yachalaf rikma. Maybe the egg, even if it didn't start to form inside. Talmud Leimar Hasheretz. It says Hasheretz. Masheretz Shirakam. Haf Bais says Shirikam and Isa have started to form. Yachalaf nikva. Maybe even if there's no hole in it. Talmud Leimar. The pasuk says Hanigeya Yitma. Only es she'ef shaliga tamei, ve'she'ef shaliga tar. If you can't touch it, then if you touch the shell, you're not tamei. The common akiva say, how big does the hole need to be? Kechut hasayra. She'ef shaliga kechut hasayra. Once it's the size of a hair, then you can already touch it with the hair. Okay. Have a good day.